and welcome to the Base Chopper Podcast. Today, I am your host, Anthony, with my good buddies, Austin and Bobby. Today, we'll be discussing the Gen Con recap, the state of the meta, Set 3 spoilers, and what decks we will be playing at our local store this week.
Hey, Anthony, how was your Gen Con?
It was very bad. I went 4-3 both days, playing Red Ray and playing Qi'ra, playing Wu's Qi'ra list that I played for a total of 5 to 10 minutes the night before.
Yeah, you watched me play for like an hour and a half though before, so that was probably foundational information for your experience.
Except for I was really tired, so that didn't really go over. Just tired. Real great. I'm figuring it out better now. How was your Gen Con, Bobby? You know,
it was fine. I did okay. It was a classic tournament experience.
I've seen you do better.
I've done better. You
have done
true.
better.
I did lose a match, so it was pretty tough.
For those who don't know,
cool deck though. So
for those who don't know, Bobby went day 2, Friday, 3rd place, and then he won Saturday. So
it's overall record of 13-1.
I killed people a lot of times with Boba Fett. It was very good. It's a wonder when you play the bad guy deck in the format and the things that can happen to you. It's pretty sweet.
Oh. Austin, how did you do at Gen Con?
Had a lot of fun. I rocked Boss on my first day, which was Friday, and that was ending in 4-3. Great learning experience. And on Saturday, I went with the Boba Yellow, and I went 5-2.
It's like bad guy deck experience. You'll love to see it. Your boss deck was sweet though. You've been working on that for quite a while. You had some pretty big evolutions in that deck.
Yeah, I just didn't have as many reps with it. Didn't really. A lot of new decks were in the format. I had no idea what to do against some of them.
We didn't know about
so quickly, like leading up to that. It was crazy.
The top target and the stock of top target going up.
One of the most impressive cards over the weekend.
Yeah, it was like instantaneously. The Blue brought it on the Saturday or Friday, and then just was everywhere on Saturday. It was crazy.
So much better. I had my Ray deck that I built for a while that performed as expected, just okay. Crate Dragon, cool. Getting to Crate Dragon, really hard. Healing, still very good. Probably should have put top targets in it as well. But
it was
guess
kind of
what?
surprising how little Ray was at that tournament, like all 3 of those days. Like,
I was hyping us up to prepare for Ray, and there was 0 Ray.
Yeah, there were like
5
multiple
total.
copies of Relentless Pursuit in our Boba deck for a while, and because of the Ray matchup was kind of sketchy, and that card was a big problem. But thankfully, the meta evolved in a way that like people weren't really playing that card, and they were playing Han instead. So that was fortunate.
Which is way easier to beat than that. So
overall, I think people were mostly relying on end of set 1. You know, what they were comfortable with just a few oddball creativity.
Even then, like there was only the Sabine really on that Thursday, which I think is the most like comfort deck. I think for most people
on the other days too. It's a good comfort pick for people. Got a couple good new cards from the new set, and picking those up was important. So
I was so excited when I was watching tables on Thursday, and there was Sabine like all over the top like 24 tables, and then I got to see 0 Sabine matches my day 1. But that's the name of the game.
Played 2 Sabines. That was it. Beat both of them as well. But all right, let's move on to the state of the meta and the decks that we view as good, bad, and ugly.
Wait, I have a question. What are you going to do with your extra finalizer mat, Bobby?
Oh, yeah, I have 2 finalizer mats I don't have any idea what to do with. I don't play with a play mat usually because, come on.
So much care. So much work.
You got to put it in your backpack. You got to unroll at the beginning of every match. And
roll
people
it back
like,
up.
You have to have a full conversation about it every game. Like, oh, wow, I really like your finalizer mat. That's really cool. Did you win it or did you buy it? And it's like, yeah, I won 2 of them. So It's fine.
I wish it was a playable card on this mat.
Yeah, that card sucks, but the art's cool.
The art is very cool.
If anybody wants to buy a Finalizer play mat, you can put a little comment down there, and I'll hit you up. So
figure that out.
Cool. I'm glad we got that one out of the way.
Thank you.
So back to state of the meta then. What decks are performing well, and what decks are maybe not performing as well, or maybe overhyped?
I think the Qi'ra deck that
what are people playing right now?
That tournament was crazy. That deck had a huge impact on like how people are going to have to build their decks going forward, and you can see already like the ridiculous amount of Qi'ra at the last couple of events that have come up that have had stakes. I think that one of them had 2-3 copies in the top 8, and then another one had 2 or 3 more. That blue-green villain strategy like finally has legs, since they know like kind of the angles they need to attack from and the like actual threats in the format. It's pretty great for people who like that kind of strategy.
Yeah, it seemed like you were in set 1 with that, blue-green villain. You were kind of choosing to sack your game 1 based off of how you built your deck. But now it's a little more stable into the open field. A lot more angles in that first 50.
Yeah, that Qi'ra flip really equalizes a lot. Being able to have hostages over leaders, very good leaders, and then being able to clear boards very well with overwhelming barrage, or just like
pinging shields on the flip is very powerful. That was a card Austin was really stoked on when it got previewed, and I wasn't as excited, but it's been really good. So
I remember texting you during spoilers. I was like, isn't this the Boba equalizer that we needed? And I'm glad that
maybe. But it turned out it's pretty good. Trading your leader for their leader and dealing with a bunch of the problematic things on the board with the flip is insane. So
cool. It makes Rook a playable card too, which is really nice.
So wild. People.
The card is like pretty good now in like a lot of matchups that like it kills. Since Yellow Han's been really popular, it kills the Han unit. You could shield it again, which is insane. You can ECL it. It kills walkers, which is really good as well, which really helps.
Well, I've been on the losing side of many locks that can create. You can create like obviously the classic Avenger lock that we saw at the end of set 1, but also now you've got these weird grindy locks with the client just re-shielding it and gaining 5 life. Long Pike is another great lock. It just feels like you're getting multiple units out of one unit.
Your ability to pull ahead with your medium units that have crazy upside is ridiculous
Rook.
at this point. Rook.
Yeah, and then healing 10 damage.
I've been playing Qi'ra a little bit more, and just the amount of health that you can gain with a client and just like put you right back in the game is insane. I think one game I gained like 20 life, so very powerful.
Yeah. You add that with top target too, and you can gain a whole Zuckuss attack from you as well back.
A whole
Zuckuss attack, and you can put it on Zuckuss as well, which is great.
Yeah, I think she'll be here to stay.
Yeah, it definitely is a big upgrade, especially to Iden, who's unplayable, and I don't really see why people would choose to do that to themselves when they can play Lyra that flips on 5. But the format's still kind of similar to set 1 meta. Not the other outside Qi'ra, I guess. There's not a lot of impactful new leaders, enough to shake things up. But
yeah, I don't think the units are really there yet for those leaders too. Sabine gets a nice. With Wrecker, she gets a nice little buff there, but she still has to have the nuts. You still have to have, the things to win, cause to get them low enough.
What do you think about New Han? People seem to be pretty hyped on that leader. It seems to be winning some tournaments as well.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, if you're playing, the meta you expect to be playing into is more casual. It's probably a great choice. The units are kind of tough for to stand on their own against some of the more powerful stuff. I can't imagine the Qi'ra matchup's particularly favorable for the Han deck. Boba's got to be a tough one, but you probably eat up a lot of Sabines. So it's got a good niche, but it's hard to, I think, justify playing something like that over one of the other the villain-based control decks into Sabine or your Bobas and Han Yellows of the format.
Yeah, I don't know how it performs against Han Yellow yet.
I imagine like if we're talking specifically about those blue shells that are similar to the Ray Red decks that we've seen, I would say that they're probably pretty excited to play that mid game against Qi'ra, because they've got a bunch of 2-for-1s with pillage and their smuggle cards. But yeah, they still have the capital ships to really close it out. They've got to rely on Crate Dragon.
That kind of matchup is like where I would assume Super Laser Blast is pretty strong too, and they have access to like 2 of them in their list now. So yeah, like slower mid-rangier decks, they kind of get eaten up by that. They do have Crate Dragon though, so sometimes you just die. But
I think overall you're gonna win those because again you just have way better removal. You can like also overload a little bit.
Yeah, both decks are healing kind of an outrageous amount. But the coolest things from the Gen Con and the last couple tournaments meta is the like evolution of this yellow Han deck that people have been playing. Played like a lot of the same cards as the Boba Fett deck, so you get all those like double yellow bangers and good discard, good interaction. You get to play with 6-mana or 7-mana Han, the unit, and that card's crazy. Which puts them in the lock. It's kind of like a little baby Avenger. A lot of the time, it just clears everything up, and it's a hard guy to kill.
Avenger on the ground.
Man, yeah.
Man Avenger.
That deck, from my experience so far, I played against about 3 of them. I didn't get to verse Troy at Gen Con. I wish that I could have. It would have been cool to see someone take it at a higher level, but I was mostly just annoyed by the discard, but they weren't really able to pressure me, even with something like a Han unit, when I was playing Bosk or Boba. So they seem to have like a really grindy, terrifying interaction. They have a lot of interaction, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of like how, at least from the Boba side, our matchup felt about that was it was kind of like playing a mirror, and our deck was basically put together to play a lot of mirrors. So yeah, I think it was a favorable position for at least that list. I think like the average Boba list that plays like
armor,
the Bazines and armors and stuff probably has a tougher time against Yellow Hans because you're not taking advantage of like your action cheating abilities and you're focusing on things that don't matter that much. But
yeah, they're gonna beat you down quicker because they have.
I would assume that the interaction and pressure that the deck applies, especially with like when you're trying to do your flip turn or you're trying to do your Vet's Fire Spray turn, the 2-card combo that steals your lands is pretty strong.
Have you been on the receiving end of that yet, either of you?
Yeah, I had Abba. I just killed the guy.
I was
an issue.
I was at Gen Con with Qi'ra. I also think Qi'ra does really well, just like Qi'ra does pretty well against Boba as well with as Yellow Han. But yeah, he stole something that was relevant. I had so many resources at the time; it didn't set me back at all any either. It was just he got to play Inferno 4, and I was like, "Cool, I'm gonna play my Avenger and kill you because you have nothing."
A lot of times, like the Qi'ra deck, you're not really too perturbed if they like steal a random land. It's not gonna be the most impactful thing that they can do against you. They're playing these units that are pretty soft tier interaction, so I don't know if they're particularly worried about.
Killing tech is pretty easy too in that deck.
Yeah,
so like
he's just a little guy, and you're already killing your stuff. And
the deck's definitely probably capable of having these explosive burst turns, just like the Boba deck is. So
you're cheating on mana, so it's going to be powerful.
You've got surprise strikes and blasters and cunning, so you can definitely just kill people.
And like half the leaders that we've been talking about are cheating mana or cheating resources, like Boba, the Han leader. Both Han leaders and Boba Fett are cheating on resources, and the only other 2 decks are they're so good at doing their specific niche that it's hard to have competition there for them.
Yeah, what's that? Sabine and what?
Sabine and Qi'ra. So they're just good at doing their thing, and you don't really care about cheating the resources in those decks. Like the Sabine deck, there's the red-green version of New Han where they play ECL, and that's kind of like a similar build to Sabine. You're just like get to play other cards and that.
Other cool cards.
Yeah.
But
I had this new Han leader. I think you guys remember, like I got wrecked by a player who was game 2 or day 2 when I was playing Boba. They were playing Han, the new Han with ECL, and they were just able to play like 2 units a turn, then to like 3 units a turn, like 4 units a turn, and even with a card like Cunning, and I was really struggling to interact and press for damage. Even like I didn't try to attack
everything.
Yeah. So I think that's a huge strength for the deck, especially when you're spending about like 1 mana on a 4/1 at the end of your turn.
Yeah, the Swarm variant with the Young Han green, where he's just trying to play.
So I didn't see any Moz from my opponent, but the winning lists I've heard do have Moz in them.
Yeah, they play Mozes. They play the 2/3 restore one guy, and they'll play the 2/1 deal damage to your base. So they'll just play a bunch of guys that go wide. I've learned that when you're playing against those, that's actually one of the only times as Boba Yellow you trade into their guys, because then they are gassed out and you have all your guys still alive and you just...
You have a lot of robust, durable units in that Boba deck.
So that's like one of the only variants I ever trade. Is I'm just like, well, this guy's gonna gas himself out. I'm gonna play one, unit, kill 2 or 3 of his guys, then he's gonna have nothing. So
they're probably playing Cassian from the Smuggle row. That's at least one card they could have, but I don't know if that'll be enough to cling to life when you're playing like Cunning and Zuckuss and Fire Spray.
So yeah, you can waylay it, you can Cunning it, you can also Zuckuss it. I'll
definitely need more reps. But I was caught off guard by that list, and I think it has potential.
That is also
like a random deck to play against in like round 2 or whatever. Oh, yeah. That's kind of when you're going to play against stuff like that at like a large tournament like that. So.
Yeah, for sure. If I want to like kind of read between the lines, I think that the new Han leader people are excited about. He's cheating on mana, like we said. But I mean, with the decline of the Boba Yellow stuff after the Qi'ra rise, I think that kind of gives opportunity for decks like this to see some more play. That's my personal opinion.
We forgot about a deck.
What did we forget about?
We haven't been talking about Palp Green at all. Palp Green's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Palp Green is a fine choice.
That's an actual contender.
Yeah, it definitely leverages this rise of the blue-green control decks pretty well.
Yeah.
That matchup's kind of a nightmare.
It's not easy, right?
Yeah.
No. Your top end is so good.
Have like a lot more top end. You have to battle into it, but just like the power of shielding your big units with Qi'ra is kind of tough for them as well. But you have a lot of ways to take advantage of the Palp deck. You get there so fast.
The double green 5/5 as well, the 4-drop that you can smuggle back out and get back out is also very viable because he just keeps returning. So even if you like get to a board state that's somewhat advantageous, but your health is low, they can always get that guy back out to whack you.
And I assume that these Palp players are just going to adjust and start flipping their Palps late and taking the Avengers. Because if there's going to be a scenario... Yeah, there's going to be a scenario where they have to shield their Avenger if they're preparing for Devastator, I assume. And that's when you flip your Palp.
Yeah, you don't really care about stealing like a Darth Vader or anything. You just don't care.
Yeah.
Just hold it, and then they can. It makes it impossible for them to like shield their Avengers and.
But if the Palp deck's kind of reliant on like, they're not playing blue spells to finish off Darth Vaders. They need to stick something to barrage, so they might be kind of rough for them to get there.
Yeah. Maybe they'll start playing like some of the Palp's returns and mauls to combat that.
I still think the green Palp deck is the best adjusted to deal with mid-range and aggro decks even. I know that people really are looking to blue to gain some life and grind towards Sabine, but we've had some success just sticking a unit, barraging, and ramping over a lot of these aggro decks in the past. We should try it here soon against some of these newer Sabine shells to see if we can still get there.
Yeah, that's a big panic point for playing that deck early on, but you got new tools and it's probably fine to work out. So
yeah,
I think one of the more interesting decks from this like recent results is the yellow Kylo decks. I watched Jacob Ball playing it at the Gen Con event against blue in one of the later rounds, and that deck like is just all little guys, and it seems like it's so fast. You're playing from your smuggle resources like pretty constantly, and you get a lot of extra pressure from that. It's a pretty interesting strategy.
It seemed like the pilot knew how to get ahead. Like they weren't letting Qi'ra stick too many units because they knew that's how they were going to deal with multiple units. Like one barrage and it's game over for them. I assume
you're dead. All your units have 1 health. You're just dead.
So. But even then, they were able to play like 2 1-drops to continue to pressure. If even one of them gets in, that's like a pump spell, right?
Mm-hmm. and like having jetpacks and guns from the resource row is just like extra juice that I'm pretty about. I think that's like kind of fun.
Might get to play it later, so who knows?
I might get to play it later. We'll see.
I also think back to Palp real quick. I think they might probably add more Strike Trues. I think that's a really good card that they will probably need to add later. Just so that way, because the only thing that sucks about Command as a card is it specifies non-unique enemy units. It is such a weird drawback of a card design for it, but
well, that card doesn't really solve the problems that the deck is having right now. I mean, you might need a couple of them to shore the Sabine matchup, but these space units, especially the Phantom, are going to cause the biggest issue for that deck.
Your space is so weak in that deck. When we were playing like test games with yellow against it, it was just you just lean into the space area. They have like 2 reasonable space units that they can play. Yeah. And if they're playing any more than that, they're trolling, and none of them are particularly favorable interacting with the things that the Boba deck does in space. So
yeah.
But it's good against a lot of the other decks. That matchup's just tough.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident that by the end of this set 2 meta, Boba will be the best deck again. So
Boba will be the best deck again.
Yeah, it's just you just have to adapt to the things. You have the tools. It's just figuring out a build that preys on these other strategies.
Let's check with the numbers currently.
What a smooth and wonderful transition, Anthony.
Thank you.
What do we got here?
So we have a spreadsheet provided by this. This is Mitch. Is that right?
Yeah, it's DK Mitch. Yep, fellow memer and player on Discord. They actually won with one of the Palp decks a couple weeks ago, so shout out to them.
I feel like it's kind of hard to take some of the data in and stuff like this with the size of the events. There's a lot of them that are 20, 30 players. I feel like a lot of the time, whatever the better players in the room are playing are going to rise up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 32 player event or a 24 player event that Kylo Yellow won. I'm sure that guy was very talented, very handsome, very smart. He was able to best the other 23 players in the room. And the smaller, you see a lot of Han 2 blue decks towards the more recent events. People have been pretty stoked on that deck, but I'm sure it probably has a lot to do with great pilots, especially in the Colorado Winnabox, where there was an Iden Blue deck in second place. I don't think any sane person would take Iden Blue to a tournament. But this guy did, and he knew what he was doing. So it was probably a good choice for them.
Yeah. When I played, that's the issue with playing Qi'ra too, is when I played against that Iden player at Gen Con, who was playing pretty slow as well, we got to match 2 and timed because it was just that slow of a grindy matchup, and it was.
Those control mirrors are such a slog. Yeah, you really gotta pick up your pace of play if you're playing that kind of a deck.
And you also have to understand where most of your fights are going to be fought. Even just passing a lot at the beginning is probably just better use of your time.
Yeah,
sticking these death troopers or
tank. Which removal spell am I going to play here? I'll play this one, and then it didn't really matter how you played the turn out most of the time anyway. So
you want to play your vigilance, and you want to mill them.
Yeah.
But the other image has a more interesting story to tell, I would say, from DK Mitch.
Well, tell us the tale.
Well, I think I alluded to it earlier, but I mean, the biggest drop-off rate of the Boba deck recently is to be expected, but I think people are just genuinely struggling from a really strong deck, and they don't feel comfortable taking it like they felt at the beginning of the format. So that doesn't mean that Qi'ra is a bad deck. Qi'ra is an amazing deck.
Qi'ra's a great deck.
It's fantastic.
It just really took a good build of the deck and people to be able to see that it could excel in a tournament of that size, and it made a lot of impact after. Plus, that deck could have been basically any pile, and it would have won based on the pilot of that.
Yeah. Piloting is 80% of it.
He's a very good player. I agree. I think it's pretty cool that there are some. I mean, I've seen Luke Green shine up again. I hope that comes back a little bit, like it did at the end of set 1 for meta.
So that's the 9th most popular leader. That's wild. That's
Yeah.
Green. It's kind of mind-boggling that it's over Palp Green. That deck was really popular.
It's achieved the 9th most top 8s, I believe, is what this means. Okay. Yeah. That boss green deck and that number is going to continue to rise. I'll tell you now.
Going down.
What? I mean, I would be excited to play Bosk against the Han 2 decks. They're just putting damage units on the board, and a lot of them are unique. So I think that's a pretty easy corner to turn.
I would also like it if my unit or if my player just played bad units too.
You think? Are you saying that Luke Skywalker and Redemption and Great Dragon are bad units?
They are when you are giving them damage against Bosk. You're just like, hey, let me just juice these guys for you so you can get these bounties. Especially because like Yoda only has like 2 health.
For you to be in there, yeah. So I mean, there's no way that you're putting out a Yoda damage most of the time with that deck.
Yeah, you kind of force him to play more fairly.
Yoda's good because he's got cheeks. So
if your deck is taking away the identity of their deck, it's kind of a bad matchup.
Oh yeah, I agree.
For them.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right, well, let's move on to which we
Asajj is based, by the way. In case you're wondering.
Asajj Ventures.
Yeah, she's
based or waste. So Asajj has exploit 2, which is a new keyword for the upcoming set, which is you can sack units.
If you found our podcast, you probably know what exploit does.
You could tribute summon. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! So yeah. And then on attack with another separatist, and it gets this unit gets +3/+0.
Which doesn't seem very hard based on the kinds of cards you'd be playing around an early Asajj Ventress. Pretty into
Tokens help too, especially.
Mm-hmm. So. Any other opinions other than that it's based?
I think
it's based.
If it's definitely based, I think the thing I think about the most is how this lines up against like the opponent's following takedown. I think is pretty good. It's kind of what I think is going to happen the most. You're kind of sacking your board after you attacked to play this for pretty much free, and then they have to hold up takedown, or they put a better unit, which they probably won't put a better unit on the board at that turn.
It's hard to beat a 5/4, basically.
Yeah.
Most strategies there on turn 3.
I think my brain just goes to the takedown turn the most because I'm used to playing like 3/5s in a similar spot.
You didn't commit like any of your you're not sacking any units that don't have an upside, right? You're sacking things that benefit you when they die, and that you'll have gotten that value, and then they've used all of their resources on that turn, and it's harder for them to interact with your follow-up plays to that on the same turn. Assuming we have a card that costs 3 or 4 mana that's good to play alongside Asajj, it's probably pretty good. So
yeah, I agree.
It definitely needs some support to be extremely based, but
it'll be like a solid unit, and she'll be a magnet for removal. But then that solid unit that came in on the same turn is going to get in for like 3 or 4 damage, and it's.
I hope to God we're still not playing Open Fire next set.
No, we will be. There's no way
we're barely playing it now.
Yeah, it's like no decks. So, what else we got? What's the next one?
We're moving on to Darth Maul.
Based.
Attack 2 units at once. He's a 5/7 for 5.
Based.
Well, he's obviously based.
Obviously.
Look how cool he looks.
He is cool. He's pretty bad against Sentinel units, which would assume going to be a problem for him.
As a leader, that'll make that a little more difficult.
I know a village. I know a village protector that would like to say to him.
Village protector is kind of a nightmare for Darth Maul. Attacking 2 units is kind of brutal when there's just any Sentinels in play. And is he a 5/6? Is that how large he is?
5/6. It costs 5.
That's kind of big. I mean, as long as ECL's around, it'll still probably be good. But I don't know if I would qualify. It would be base, but
cards like this will kind of help you play more lopsided units, and like more aggressive units is just kind of exciting. Like you can play more 3/1s because he's going to protect them. So they're going to stick around a little longer and deal additional damage.
It's definitely not the thing that you're pressuring their base with. It's
no.
It's kind of probably the thing that you want your 5-drop to be doing in those kinds of decks a lot of the time.
Well, I mean, the 5-drop, especially if you're running like an energy conversion lab deck, it's going to make some sort of trade and then pressure. This guy will probably end up with like 1 or 2 health after, because he's not going to actually end up just hitting 1/1s all the time, right?
I'm sure once the leaders we have in this set are spoiled, it'll be a little bit more clear. But I don't know if he's the 5-drop for like a red-green Vader deck.
Yeah.
I think he's got to be something more aggro based. Like he's got to be
currently home list.
Yeah, homeless. Maybe he'll be a nice tool if the swarm decks actually pop off.
Potentially based.
I think he's a waste. Next card.
Ooh, hell yeah! All right, next we got General's Guardian, which is a 4/4 for 4, and when this unit is attacked, create a battle droid unit token.
This card is.
Well,
go
ahead. My instinct is that it's not good, but I've been 4-mana 4/4s have been really impressive so far.
It's fine.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to attack him though. He's kind of a waste.
Yeah. You're not ever going to give this.
If you're playing a General Grievous as your green-yellow deck configuration of choice, he's pretty based, but this card is not worth the slot in most decks.
Yeah, what are the 2 leaders we've seen so far? Let's look at them real quick.
Go back to the leaders. We have Ahsoka Tano, which has coordinate, attack with a unit. It gets +1/+0. And then it flips on 5, which is important.
These are the starter leaders.
Yeah. And then it has coordinate. This unit gets +2/+0. Did you just say this card's based?
Yeah, flips on 5. It's unbeatable. I don't know if there's any other red leaders you'd want to play in your constructed decks that flip on 5 that deal 5 damage, but that's the one I'm playing if I want one of those effects.
Yeah. It's
I think this card's waste.
I think Kylo will do more damage than her most of the games, but maybe Kylo just dies.
Kylo is a villainy leader.
Yeah.
This guy's competing with just Han at 5 heroic red unit like leaders.
Yeah, and it's also a 3/6.
Yeah, it's like very good for these like swarmy strategies. I'm sure we're gonna get a lot for. I'm kind of into it.
It's just getting that coordinate right now has been real hard. You don't get to cheat any units out yet.
One of the worst parts about playing these 5-minute 3/6 leaders is that they don't really hit back for a lot, and she has the potential to change that. So that's pretty exciting.
Well, she doesn't hit. She won't hit back. She'll only hit forward because coordinate.
That's on attack.
Yeah.
Okay, that's less exciting.
Coordinate on attack.
Wait, no. Her action is on attack.
It's just a static ability. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's always on if you have enough men in play.
I mean, that seems pretty good. It makes it harder for your opponents to make favorable trades.
Unless you have a guy who attacks 2 guys.
She applies a lot of pressure. Yeah. If you have a guy that attacks 2 guys, you're probably losing anyway. So.
What about the other one?
All right. Then the other one we have is General Grievous, who is give droid a sentinel for this phase.
This is a yellow leader that's not Boba Fett. It's a waste. Next card.
He also costs 6.
Just go to the next card. Go to the next card. That card's unplayable. Get out of here. It's the biggest waste I've ever seen in my entire life. Why would you want to play a yellow villainy leader that is not Boba Fett if you're trying to win? I mean, you could build a cool deck to bring to locals. Like it's gonna be sweet for that, but there's not a chance I'm building my deck around a leader that flips on 6 that is 4/8 that has a lot of synergies with droids. I'm gonna take the guy that gives me 3 mana on turn 4.
Yeah, I mean, I would be more excited to play.
That's the problem with seeing a lot of these leaders is like we have such powerful, already established things that are pretty difficult to push out. I don't think there's going to be a leader for a while that pushes Boba Fett out of being one of the best yellow leaders. Best yellow leader. It's ridiculous to claim a different one is better.
And if you're playing this leader, you're pretty much forced to play green. Because the whole reason to play this leader is to get your foray on the battlefield as soon as possible. So you have to ramp.
Mm-hmm.
Wasted.
Yeah, so the big 6 leader drawback is basically always a waste.
I like the body of foray. The effect lets you play like more like a Lingering Soul style from Magic the Gathering, which otherwise in this game tokens don't work in the same way. You know, they're not really saving life unless you're giving them Sentinel. So we'll see if he can ever grind out some wins, but I definitely would not be excited to take him to the next Gen Con. Speaking now,
he's a waste. He's a waste. Let's talk about Captain Rex.
He's a waste. Captain Rex, 6-drop 4/4. When played, create 2 Clone Troopers tokens, which are 2/2s.
It would be really exciting if this was a limited card, but it's a starter deck card, so it's a waste.
Be an awesome uncommon to play.
That would be
limited.
That's like probably close to a rare and limited. But if you opened a booster pack, just like when you're ripping packs, and you opened a Captain Rex, you would scream. So,
yeah, it's a cool one. I'm not excited.
I opened Mandalorian armor again. You know, it's the same thing.
Waste.
Yeah. I think the only cool thing you could do with this is New Adventure, and that costs 8, and I don't want to have more Clone Troopers, so that's whatever. Waste.
Yeah. Most of these cards.
All right, then we have Coruscant Guard, who is a 2-mana 3/2 with Coordinate Ambush.
This is probably a great tool for Swarm decks that need to get past Sentinels. Which obviously is not just going to be versing the General Grievous in the starter deck. So I think it'll be an important tool. If you compare it to cards like Cloud Rider, what's the other card?
It is so brutal that this doesn't have ambush until you have 2 other units in play.
Yeah.
I think this card's a waste.
It reminds me of the Sentinel, the Gamorrean Guard Sentinel as what Retainer.
It's the same card, basically. Yeah,
2-mana 3/2.
It's just harder to turn on.
Viper Probe Droid.
Green, I don't think you're really interested in that effect. In a lot of these green strategies people are playing in Constructed.
I think if we see from set 3, if we see some efficient ways to put like 2 1/1s on the battlefield pretty much turn 1, I think cards like this will be pretty helpful.
Yeah.
As of right now, waste.
I agree.
All right, next card. General's Blade. Attached to a non-unit. If attached to a Jedi, gain on attack. The next unit you play for this phase costs 2 less.
I don't trust cards like this. I don't trust build your own Boba Fett decks where you're cheating on mana and not really getting in for damage when you play the card. That being said, I have been pretty impressed with putting cards like this on things with Overwhelm, especially if it's on your leader. So if they give us some nice like 5-cost leaders other than Moff Gideon with Overwhelm, cards like this are going to be pretty impactful.
And this card's based. If they're printing a green Jedi's Matters card, they are printing green Jedi. And this is going to be a pretty important upgrade for those kinds of decks. It's a huge amount of stats that it gives, and the upside and like scaling you can get out of it seems pretty worthwhile. Like,
do you remember the upside of Luke's lightsaber and how often that never got to happen?
Yeah. Luke's lightsaber doesn't give 2 extra health though.
You also have to have Luke.
You're playing it in green. If there is a 2-cost Jedi that matters, this card is going to be pretty strong.
That'll probably exist. There'll be like a Padawan or something.
There has to be something that's not a 2/2 with no relevant text like they have in set 1. The whatever her name is. She a Jedi or is she just a Force unit?
It's just a Force
unit.
The one that makes relevant.
This is a set about Jedis and battle droids and clone troopers and stuff. Surely this card's going to be playable.
I currently have the stigma against lightsabers because so far none of them are really playable, except for in one deck that plays one lightsabers specifically. But other than that, I think it's waste right now. Until I see more.
The most impressive thing about these cards are the stats you're putting on the field that turn. It's the other text on the card is
It's basically flavor text.
Yeah.
All right, let's move
I'm going to go with waste.
Yeah, I'm waste right now.
You're silly. Let's talk about Jesse.
Jesse is a 4/4 for 3 red who has raid 1, and when played, an opponent creates 2 battle droid tokens, which are 1/1s. This card rips. I think it is based as hell.
Yeah, it's pretty based. It's the amount of the actions they'd have to take on their turn to make those battle droids worth it is kind of tough because you'll just have the initiative on the next turn almost every time. So it's pretty good.
I foresee we're gonna get like the bounty hunter card that just lets you attack with multiple bounty hunters. We're gonna have like the flavor version of that for set 3 where you get to play multiple attacks. So there'll be counters to this type of card, but it's gonna be a deck restriction.
It's trooper too, and that's been a pretty supported
exact
tag on units. So I think this is really where the trooper synergies are going to come out.
Well, but it's giving your opponent the troopers, so like if they're playing a trooper deck, they're pretty excited.
No, it's a trooper. Jesse's a trooper.
Yeah, Jesse's a trooper. It's giving it battle droids.
Yeah. What I'm saying is,
the battle droid tokens are troopers too.
Yes, exactly. And I think that if there is more accessible, efficient cards to cheat in attacks, buff your guys, Jesse's just going to die immediately if they claim initiative. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to.
I mean, then he has
if there's a Star Wars god, then that's what will happen.
I think Jesse's going to get in for 5 more times than not, and he's going to.
He'll probably get in for 5 at least once.
That's insane.
If you're playing a lean, aggressive deck, that's really all you care about.
Yep.
5 damage is a lot of damage. You know that because people play 30 health bases instead of 25 health bases that have abilities. So,
would you play this in Sabine?
Probably.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play Sabine, but
the unit or the leader.
If I was playing the Sabine leader, I would probably be playing this card.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know that it's probably fine because it's not a starter deck card. They felt that it was worthy of including in the main set. So, let's talk about Anakin Skywalker.
Anakin Skywalker, a 6/6 for 5, coordinate on attack, draw a card.
What do you think about Anakin Skywalker?
He's a Jedi, which kind of is helpful, and a Force user. But, Poe Dameron does way more things that are cooler. And he's not even that great of a card sometimes.
I really wonder what kind of an idea they're going to give to the Jedi tag in this set. Getting to be able to play Force Throw in your deck, more kinds of Force Throw decks is pretty appealing, but I don't know if this guy's really doing it for me.
He's a starter deck card, so.
I think, he's easily a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a waste.
I don't want to
It's cool though. It makes you think a little bit, but I would rather put the $45 legendary from the last set in my deck than put this starter deck card in there.
Yeah. All right, waste. Moving on to Separatist Commando. Who is it?
I'm kind of excited about this card.
While you control another Sentinel or another Separatist unit, it gains raid 2.
Are you excited about it, Austin?
Well, it wasn't very hard. We didn't really care about the bounty hunter tag in set 1. We do now. I think it won't be very difficult to take a really powerful leader that might be in the color yellow villainy and change your tags around to use the best units with those tags. And I think that a card like this is a good reason. Yeah. So if I can get some other Separatists.
2 cost 2/3s are pretty appealing. So you didn't really, there's also not any. There's not a 2-cost 2/3 ground unit in Villainy already, right? That you play. There's none that you'd play.
There's none that I'd play. No.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about trying this card out.
It's kind of nice that it lines up with Asajj as like units that care about Separatist.
And an extra unit to play on the end of your turns that can maybe get in for 4 is so exciting. Yeah,
if you play
a lot of damage for a 2-cost unit.
Yeah, 4/3, pretty good.
All right, you got me. It's based.
Base.
I think it is potentially very based, but just based right now. All right, let's get back to waste cards.
You
Prisoner of
fiddly
War.
little dork.
Gotta fence it.
Prisoner of War.
Already waste, but I'll read it out. A friendly unit captures an enemy non-leader, non-vehicle unit. If the enemy unit costs less than the friendly unit, create 2 battle droid tokens. Cool.
I'll probably find ways to play this in limited and feel really good about it, like I did with Relentless Pursuit.
That card's dope and limited. It is a waste, unfortunately, for constructed.
Agreed.
Just worse
okay, next card.
Pursuit.
Let's do it.
Let's
talk about the best card in the set so far.
Battle Droid Escort.
This is the most base card that they previewed so far.
When defeated, create a Battle Droid token. It is a 1/1 droid separatist trooper.
This is just the thing that they've shown that really gets me going the most of any of the cards they've previewed. Just like thinking about all the cool exploit plays you can make and its synergy with Palpatine. It's just it seems like it could go a long way. The card's awesome.
It's a great synergistic card value. You're looking more turns ahead when you play cards like this because, like I said, these like bodies don't do anything inherently in this game until you can find good payoffs. That being said, I agree with you. It's very exciting.
You just like get to play it on the second turn, then put Asajj into play and have another Separatist unit laying around. And then like if you're playing it in a yellow-red strategy, you can like lead on Separatist Commando, play Battle Droid Escort, play Asajj, and then your next turn you have what, 1,000,000 power worth of units in play. So
the next card we're gonna look at is a great follow-up to the play you just laid out too. That's a lot of pressure.
So much pressure. That card seems very powerful, and it fits in a lot with how you want to be doing it. Assuming there's not a leader you'd rather play over Boba Fett in this show, like there's a reason to play a red Boba Fett deck.
I agree. This was based. It has a fun bit of combo potential, and that is exciting because there's not a lot of combo in this game yet. All right.
Yeah, great follow up would be this card.
Yep.
The next one. Yep.
Hail Fire Tank. 8 costs, 7 and 6, exploit 2.
I'm pretty interested in this
7,
card
6.
if we have another effect like Battle Droid Escort, so you can really lean into that. But outside of that, I'm not as excited.
Yeah, if you can really get one more efficient token generator somewhere, maybe even from a leader, then I would play a card like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
You get to play it on turn.
As we have it now, I think it's a waste.
Yeah, I really wanted to see this card with Overwhelm, but it's a common, right? So I can only ask for so much.
Yeah. Overwhelm would be stupid for this card. Oh my god.
It would be based.
Is this card a vehicle?
Yes.
It's a vehicle, yeah. Yeah, it's a tank.
Ooh. It's a tank.
This card, it's got a lot of interesting text on it. Okay.
Do you think about triple dark rating it?
Yeah, I'm also thinking about this card's going to be an auto include in probably most villainy decks in limited though. Like it's just like going in every deck.
Silly. We don't like limited here. Let's talk about the next card.
I like limited.
Next card is 332nd Stalwart, which is a 1-drop 1/2 with coordinate gets +1/+1.
This card's a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need more cards that are like easier, more accessible U-wing reinforcement cards for a card like this. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, no, I don't even want to spend 1 mana on this.
So we got this wheel up here, and we're each going to take turns spinning the wheel, and these are some of the worst leaders in the sets that have come out so far. We're kind of off playing, the most powerful decks on our local store, Pack Rat, and we cooked this up so we can have a little fun challenge, and we're going to talk about it on our next cast. And you want to go ahead and
who wants to be the first spin?
Oh, it's you. You're the host.
All right, I'm the first spin. Let's see what I get. Give me a good leader.
Ayo.
All right, we got a leader that is at least reasonable.
Have fun in hell.
I will.
So Anthony's going to take Hondo, and he's going to pair it with any base that he wants. If he chooses blue, he's not allowed on the next episode, so he's got to pick something really fun. Any pairing he'd like.
Except for blue, apparently.
Sorry, George.
Yeah, sorry, George.
Not allowed.
Austin, are you interested in spinning the wheel?
Yeah, I'm not afraid. I'll go next.
All right,
are we gonna keep up duplicates off just out of curiosity?
Yeah, and if you roll Hondo, we're re-rolling. That's ridiculous. There's not 2 people showing up at Hondo on Friday.
All right, let's see what Austin gets. Mando.
Ooh.
Hey.
There you go.
All right. I've got some Mando list cooking.
You do have some Mando. I tried to make Mando good for so long in the beginning. Have fun with that. It's very okay. All right, and then let's spin.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Let's go. Spin the wheel for me. Let's go.
Give me a fin. Give me a fin. Ooh! Hunter!
Let's go! Let's go!
I'm so jealous. That would have been fun.
I'm so excited. This is going to be a terrible deck. I can't wait to share it with you guys.
I mean,
I'm so excited to play some Smuggles.
Like I said earlier, Overwhelm is really good. Your leader is Overwhelm. You probably win a lot of games like that.
We're going to be cooking on Friday.
Hell yeah.
Hey, I got a yellow leader, so dub's a dub.
Yeah, can't wait to build my yellow Hunter deck. It's going to be sweet too.
Yeah, I'm so excited for my green yellow Hunter. My green yellow Hunter. With all the Smuggles.
The benefit is Austin gets to play ECL if he wants.
No, I'm playing Cunning.
Okay, there you go.
We should not play Jeddah City. That's the most important part.
Cool, that's fun.
You should play Jeddah City.
You can't play Jeddah City. There is one base that you can play, and it is the base chopper.
So. Jeddah City is a waste of an action, so I will play the 30. Yeah, base chopper all the way.
All
cool.
right.
Well, I think that's it for today, right?
That is the end of our podcast. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and be ready for the next one.
Yeah, and if you watch this far, please leave a smiley face in the comments. I would really appreciate that for my mental health.
Be nice to us in the comments.
All right, see everyone.
But bye.